Sometimes in life, there are seasons that feel fragmented, delayed, or even out of alignment. And sometimes it's because what feels like disruption is actually the threshold of a deeper alignment. So I wanted to share what happened with me a couple of weeks ago. I woke up one morning, May 1st, and I had a really strong sense that that day carried significance. I didn't know why, I couldn't explain it. And so I'm a I need to know why kind of person. And I also love dates and the significance of them and numbers. I love numerology, especially biblical numerology. And I live by the Gregorian calendar, but I try to set my life up by the Hebrew calendar and by the flow of the seasons, the feasts, and things like that from the Bible. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to look up at what this date is from my physical Gregorian calendar, the day on the calendar in my office, but then what's the day in the Hebrew calendar? So, and then what meaning does that have? Well, May 1st, 2026. May, the month of May, was named after the Greek or Roman goddess Maya. She was associated with growth, with springtime increase. And so the tone of the month then becomes a season where there's increase, there's expansion, and then there's flourishing after a season of being hidden. To think about what happens, over the winter, everything kind of goes into the ground and rests. And then in the springtime, things start to pop up. In May, we really start to see the blooms and the things popping up in the ground. The colors are starting to get really beautiful. So then that's May. Well, then what's the number one? Well, the number one, obviously, it's the first number in, everything starts with, well, zero and then one. So it's the beginning, it's the origin, it's leadership, it's divine order. The first things happen, first things. So there's a sense of initiation. There's a sense of alignment or stepping into something. We're beginning something. Then when we look at numbers from a numerology, just a plain numerology standpoint, 2026 reduces down to 2 plus 2, which is 4, plus 6 is 10, and then 10 plus 0 is, 1 and 0 is 1. So then now we're back to 1. So now we have two ones. So now we have a double signature, a double significance. So we have new cycles, we have reset points, fresh alignments. So day one of a year of day one is the threshold moments. And so those opening invitations to take a step forward and move in the direction of going forward. Then I looked at the Hebrew calendar. So in the Hebrew calendar, May 1st was Iyar 14 in the year 5786. So Iyar is associated with healing and transition. It's provision while we're in the wilderness. So the spiritual tone then is restoration and integration and healing while we're in the process of something. Then when we look at the number 14 in Hebrew numerology, it's the two digits are less than the one, represent the numbers that are less than 10. So 14 is 7 plus 7. 7 is divine perfection. We've got 7 plus 7. So I'm sorry, divine completion. So 7 plus 7 is double divine completion. It's perfection, right? It's completion, it's fulfillment, it's readiness for the next phase. What's going to happen next? Then when we look at the year 5786, well, 5 stands for grace. We already talked about 7 is completion, 8 is new beginnings, and 6 is it's the number given to man or things of this earth. So the year then, when we look at all the numbers put together, it's grace that leads to completion and new beginnings that are embodied here on earth in our real life. So, wow. Okay, so you can see how both those numbers, those same dates coming together on the same time, really like they double bless one another, right? What's the word I'm looking for? They confirm one another, right? Then I looked at, okay, so what happened historically in time? there was a couple of things that happened on May 1st, but what I really wanted to focus on was what happened on Iyar 14. So when the children of Israel were in Egypt and they were slaves, and this is at the end of all the plagues, and the last plague was the killing of the firstborn. God instructed the Israelites to put the blood, bring the lamb into the house, love it, have it be a part of it, the family, sacrifice it, take the blood with hyssop, which is cleansing, and then anoint the doorposts. And then when the angel passed by, they were saved. Well, according to Jewish custom, in order for certain things to happen, rituals and things to happen, you have to be clean. So some people may have not even been in their homes because they were, going through, like maybe a woman with her cycle with something like that. She wouldn't have been able to participate in that feast. So God said, that's okay. I want to give you a second chance. And so on Iyar 14, it says in Numbers 9, chapter 9, verse 16 through 31, it described the second Passover. So those who were not able to celebrate the first Passover in their homes when the blood on the lentils and the angel passed by, God said, that's okay. I'm going to provide you a second opportunity. So this is Iyar 14 is the second Passover. So May 1st, Iyar 14 was the second Passover. It's a second opportunity. It's God saying, hey, I didn't forget about you. It's not too late. So then we kind of, when we put all those things together, we look at realignment that occurs after there's been an interruption. It's being brought back into a sense of divine timing. It's grace that overrides exclusion. And it's what was missed then being able to be fulfilled. Oh my gosh, isn't that exciting? So when we put everything together, the missed timing leads to restored opportunity. The hidden growth leads to visible emergence. The healing in the process leads into this readiness to move forward. The interruption leads to realignment. And so, what struck me the most wasn't so much the symbolism, although it was pretty significant. It was how closely it went back to that. Why is today so important to me? And what I realized was it closely reflected what has been going on in my life in this season that I had personally been walking through for, I would say, probably 12 months, at least 6 months, probably more like 9 or 12 months. I have been in a place where God is just transitioning me, and I feel like I'm not starting over. He's moving me. He's repositioning me within my same calling, but it's looking different. And so where I felt really fragmented, he actually gave me a picture of a mosaic, and he's taking all these pieces and putting them together to become this beautiful mosaic that makes this beautiful picture of my life and what that means as far as who I am and then how I can serve. And so where I felt fragmented, I now am moving towards integration and alignment. And so I don't need to try again. I don't need to go back to the beginning. I'm stepping into what was always mine. It's always been there. All those things have always been inside of me. But now I have clarity and I have purpose and I have permission to go into that new season, to cross into that threshold where I'm going to move in my calling, but in a different way. So when I've looked at my life, I felt, I had these lanes, these multiple streams that I had. I had the functional and integrative medicine and the clinical work that I do. I had the coaching and the leadership and the business. I have ministry and worship and the teaching and things like that I do. And then I had that creative expression through painting and writing songs and things like that. And they always felt really parallel. Like they never felt like they ever touched. What I feel like is happening for me is a convergent where now they're starting to move into these unified points where instead of it's being scattered, it's a unified message where instead of having this high effort that's required from running 4 different lanes. Now it's just this aligned flow, and it's being consistent in what I'm saying and making sure that my message moves into a consistent content with intentionality in what I'm doing and what I'm saying and how I can serve. So I'm no longer building multiple things. I'm now taking what's inside of me and expressing it in multiple channels with the same message across all of those. So it's less about a dramatic breakthrough and it's more about this quiet alignment that's happening inside of me. It's this subtle strengthening and it's a restoration of energy and a rhythm. I actually have created what I call the sacred blueprint and this rhythm for my life that I started in the fall with changing my schedule and how I'm working. And then the weekly schedule then gradually became my daily schedule and what I do in the morning, what I do in the evening, and how I handle my work days and how I handle my weekends. And it's this beautiful rhythm instead of trying to find balance. In fact, I had this conversation, oh my gosh, probably like 8 years ago with this amazing teacher that was at a conference. And I went up to him and I said, I really loved what you said, and I said, how do you find balance between work and ministry? And he goes, well, balance isn't a word that's even in scripture. The Bible talks about rhythms, seasons, and that's where you need to find is this rhythm. And I just like, it was kind of blew my mind. And it took me like, I don't know, 8 years to figure this out. But it's realizing that I don't have to push harder. I'm being invited to just create a different operating system for my life. Just like I can't run my PC on Windows because it's not an Apple computer. If I tried to put the wrong operating system in my PC, it wouldn't work. I have to get the right operating system for my life and being invited to let it run efficiently. And it's funny because I recorded this video and I had just upgraded my computer about such 2 months ago so that it had buku storage. I could record all these videos. And all of a sudden, I get done recording this the first go, and I get this error message. It didn't record because there's not enough storage. And I'm like, I have a terabyte of storage. What in the world? It was so funny. It was almost ironic because I opened up the inside, the disk management, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a partition. There's all this over here that's sitting here that's not being occupied. I needed to move that partition to encompass everything to be able to open up the space in my physical computer. This just happened like 30 minutes ago. I was like, oh my word, this is so funny how it's almost ironic. And actually, the fact that I'm talking about May 1st and timing, I was a little frustrated that I wasn't getting out, getting to record because of my schedule this video. And I was like, isn't this ironic? It's about timing. God's timing is perfect. It will come out at the right day, in the right way, in the right time, and it's going to be beautiful. And then that happens with my computer. And I'm like, okay, that is just like the cherry on the top of the icing. So instead of being output driven, I'm alignment driven. And instead of saying to myself, well, how can I do more? And how much can I actually do? Then I'm asking myself, I've really been asking myself a lot, what's actually mine to carry and what's not? What do I get to hold on to? And what do I give myself permission to let go of because it's no longer mine and it doesn't serve me? It all goes back to the loving myself first kind of thing that the Lord was speaking to me back in the fall, where he's like, you need to put your oxygen mask on first, because if you don't, you're going to suffocate, right? And how can I serve others if I can't even breathe, right? So I'm carrying things. It's like having a backpack full of things that just don't belong to me. It's having somebody else's stuff on my shoulders, and I need to take it off so that only what's left is what is mine. And so where in your life then have you felt, well, I should be further along? I tried and I didn't really fully take, or I started something, but it didn't sustain. Well, I would just encourage you, those dates, these date May and 1st and Iyar 14th, it's not that things are closed, it's that things are being reopened, but from a place of realignment. So I am crossing over from an effort-based building to an identity-based expression. What is inside of me? Who am I? I literally rebranded my whole business under my name because my brand is me. And my expressions of what I do, what is inside of me, then are those things that I talked about. So Who am I? What does that look like? And how do I express myself in my business as from that place of my identity? And I think that that's huge. I think it's something that we all have room to grow in, especially, women of my age. We're high achievers and we tend to give and overgive and go and overgo, and we don't pause, we don't breathe, and we don't serve ourselves. We put everybody else first. And so sometimes what that happens is that it leaves us feeling like we're behind, like something's delayed, something's broken, something's missing, we've missed out on something. Instead, this is a reminder that what is truly yours can never be lost. It's always there. It just might be hidden, and it might be waiting for you to find it, to rediscover it, or to come back into alignment with those things that make you who you are, uniquely you. And so if you feel behind, or you feel like you're delayed or disconnected, or maybe like me, physically, you were exhausted because of the overstriving, overworking, and overcaring, and that left you feeling fragmented, what does it mean? What would it mean to you to feel like the delay is actually a misalignment, and that what you really need to do is come back into alignment? And so this is what I've begun with my coaching that I'm unfolding here, is this alignment based framework that talks about how we can live from our identity, how we can live in divine rhythm, and how we can live in alignment instead of striving. So it's not about starting over, and it's definitely not about failure. God is a redeemer. He makes all things beautiful in its time. And he buys back what's been stolen from us. And so it's just a restoration of coming back into that alignment. Things are coming into focus and reclaiming what's truly yours, finding those places inside of you. Some things aren't dead. They're just waiting to be awakened and waiting to come back into alignment. So over the next couple of months, I'm really going to be going deeper into this. I'm going to be talking more about alignment, more about identity, a lot about nervous system. This all affected my nervous system. And because our physical body is often feels what our emotions feel. And so sometimes we have this, we are spirit, soul, and body, and we can't disconnect all those things. And so the physical often manifest the emotions, and the emotions sometimes come because, physical. So if I kick the door really hard, I might cry. But if I lose something, then I might feel it in my emotionally, and then I might feel it in my nervous system or my body somewhere. And I'm going to talk about burnout and healing and what it actually means to come back to yourself. And so if you felt like you've missed your moment, well, maybe this is your threshold season. It's not an ending, but it's a realignment. I would love if you would continue to follow me in this journey. I'm going to be posting every week to YouTube and to a podcast and a blog. And the content is going to be focused on all the things I just expressed. I did create something called the alignment check. It's in the description. It's also in the header of the YouTube video or the podcast. And if you want to just take it, it's a questionnaire that it's not really a questionnaire, but it's a questionnaire. It doesn't have a score. It's not going to give you a score. It's just to kind of like pique your curiosity. It's like a self-reflective exercise that just says, if any of these things resonate, if they sound true, things might be off. And so I would invite you to get that. I also would invite you to come to my new website. It's nearly 100% working. I thought I checked all the buttons, but it's my name, teresagreco.com. And it expresses all the things that I've just shared, what my message is, and who I am, and where you can go on this journey with me. And I would just invite you to follow along and come with me and see how this might minister and resonate with you. So I hope this blessed you today, and I will see you next video.